Alright, so here we are on the south side of the house. We're in Zone 1, our intensive annual agriculture zone. You're looking right now at one of our hay bale gardens. So all we did here was we threw down the hay bales. They were too moldy for the horses to eat, so we thought we'd use them in the garden. And instead of breaking the bales apart and spreading them, we just put the hay bale down, cut the strings off. We soaked the bales with a few buckets of water each, and then covered it with 3 to 4 inches of a mix of soil and coffee grounds, about 1/4 to 1/3 coffee grounds to soil. In here we have arugula. And back here we have some fresh eating filet beans mixed in with some squash there. The squash was self-seeded. Over to the left we have yarrow, which is the white flower. And we also have some container gardening going on around the edges of the bale garden. We have pepper, and we had sweet potato in there. We have some tomato and carrots. And we also, one thing I wanted to mention with the containers is that they're not only there to grow plants, but they're also there to hold in the ends of the bales. Because if you don't have something propping up the ends of the bales, that they can often fall apart and erode the soil. The containers are black, so they absorb a lot of. So over here we have a few more hay bale gardens. The hay bale gardens are good to have close to your house because in the first year they do need a lot of water. Because the hay can dry out quite easily. The sides are usually exposed in most hay bale gardens, and even if they aren't, there's a lot of evaporation that happens. The hay can dry up quite quickly, but it is still a pretty low maintenance way to garden. We have it right by our house so that I can check on them every day to see if any plants are wilting from the heat or from drought. Behind me here, we have cinder blocks lining these hay bales, and that is in an effort to stop some of the evaporation coming off the side. It's also, these cinder blocks are going to be a heat store. So what happens is the sun rains down on the cinder blocks, they absorb the heat of the sun, and they store it, and when it gets cold out, they will release the heat, and to the benefit, hopefully, of the plants surrounding them. Right here we have arugula, and we have Komatsuna tender green, and earlier we had tatsoi growing in between there, but the tatsoi has all been harvested out. Tatsoi is a relative of bok choy. The other thing with these cinder blocks is that next year in the spring we're going to fill in the holes with some soil and plant something that needs to be contained, like mint or thyme. And so that gives us not only a heat store but an extra growing area. Okay, so this other bale garden is pretty neat because it's mostly self-seeded. We planted a handful of squash in here, some yellow crookneck summer squash, but what also came up was a whole crap load of tomatoes, and there's different melons in here, and some other there's some wild spinach, and there was some mustard that came up, and carrots, clovers, all kinds of different plants. And yeah, they all came up out of our garden compost.
Bowie, get down, bud.
What we did differently with this bale garden was we actually buried the sides of the bales as well as the top, and that helped cut down on the evaporation that we were seeing in general with the bale gardens.